Hey everybody. So I'm starting off the year with minis. I'm going to be doing mini bowls such as these. These are in process. These aren't finished yet. I'm in the process of glazing them. I'm going to be doing mini art such as this. These are art cards or ACEO card. ACEO stands for Art Cards, Editions, and Originals. I'm going to be doing originals and also having editions available. And this is just a few of these. Here's some in the making. I haven't painted yet. I am also going to be offering some in this form for you to paint yourself and for you to color. These I'm going to be painting myself though, because I need to have a nice batch to get started. I'll just show you some of these. I've adhered these to a second piece of watercolor paper, so they're very thick. So I paint on watercolor paper, I draw and paint, then I add another for backing to make it firm, almost like a little mini canvas. And these are the ones I created over the weekend. I'm getting ready for an auction that I'm having in January, and the whole auction I will be doing is going to be all minis. It will be mini bowls, mini art, mini baskets, crochet, and mini cards and envelopes. Actually, these I started doing in 2007. It's the first piece of art I ever sold, was when I made one of these and sold it for $19.99 on eBay. I actually put it up for $5.99 and it got bid up to $19.99. And that's what started me selling online. That was on eBay. Soon after that, I got an Etsy account. Anyway, so this is a sample of some of them. The rest are over there drying. And I'm going to show you how I start one today. I'm just going to do a simple little landscape and show you how I get started. So I have my cards cut out already. These are from 140-pound Canson watercolor paper. It's very affordable, but I like it. It's not the best there is, but I like it a lot. And I use a pencil and my kneaded eraser. And I just sketch out a little, a little scene of however I want it to be. I'm going to do this one horizontally. So I just start out midway down. And I might do some trees first. And then the underneath of the trees. And then I'll add some waves to this one, my favorite thing to do. And this is kind of just like a rough draft, because I'm going to use a permanent marker or a permanent pen over it. And I'll change things a little bit. This is just my rough draft. And then I'll do a little mountain in the back. And then a little sunset or sunrise, however you want to look at it. Now, I've been doing these for years, so this is very simple for me just to sketch this out. And then use ink over it. I've been doing it for so long, it's like second nature to me. And these really come to life after you add the paint and the ink. So then I just use my Sharpie Ultra Fine. And I'll go over all the lines that I want to keep. I'll change them a little as I go. And then I'm going to add in my little tree trunks. I'll go over some of the lines to make some of them thicker. I like the mix of thick and thin lines. These look a little wobbly, but I'm doing that on purpose. I like the effect that I get when I make them a little crooked or wobbly. Sometimes I use a little bit of a geometric style and do them a little bit square. But I just like the effect it gives without having them just a perfect line. I always just turn my work so I can have the best angle that's most comfortable for me to work with. And that's pretty much it for the sketch. I can add more stuff later, but pretty much I just get down the basic sketch. Then I use my kneaded eraser. I always stretch it out a little before I use it because you want the lighter of the gray, because that's what takes the pencil off. And you just gently go across your page. It doesn't leave any marks, and it doesn't leave any of that pink eraser leftover grit. I hate that. That's why I love this eraser. I call it my magic eraser. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to do some lines in here to represent the water. Again, a little bit crooked. I like how it looks when I do various strokes, meaning some crooked, some straight, some thick, some thin, some short, some long. I always think in opposites. And I still see some pencil here. I like to get up all the pencil, and you'll notice that the permanent ink doesn't erase, and it stays exactly like how I had it. And then I have a nice clean background to start coloring on or painting. Now I'm starting this piece. I have my watercolors here. These are watercolors from Daniel Smith, Winsor and Newton. It's just a mix. And oh God, I can't think of the other one. Oh, that's it. This is just Daniel Smith and Winsor and Newton. I also have some Arteza and a couple of other brands, but this is the one I use most often. As you can see, it's very well used. It looks a mess. And I use a very fine brush. But I'm not going to be starting with the watercolor. Right now, I'm starting with my Glaze pens by Sakura. They're like an embossed pen. And when you color with them, you fill up your spaces and it leaves like an enamel, almost like plastic or enamel of the color. And it's raised. And it looks so good. I could show you on one of these. I showed it the other day on Instagram how it looks when I use these inks. Well, I don't know if you could see it in the video, but it captures the light and the lines are raised, so they look really great. And I mix them with the glitter pens, so I get a little bit of embossing and a little bit of glitter. I don't know if you could see this well. Anyway, so that's why I use these. And I like to start with these. It gives me a little idea of which way I'm going and where I want to use watercolor. Sometimes I may do the water with the glaze pen, and then I'll do the sky with watercolor, or vice versa. And I mix up the colors of the water. To me, it's not just all blue. I see hints of purple, green, lavender, all different colors. And even if I didn't really see them, I would still add them like this in my work because I like to have variety. Now I'm going to use a light blue Jelly Roll glitter pen. And even though it is also somewhat embossed, it's the glitter that stands out in this pen. Sometimes I do a whole card in just these pens. Now you may ask, are they archival? Do they stand up over time? And the answer is yes. Although I haven't seen any really written information about the light fast quality of these particular Sakura pens. I've looked it up, I can't find it, but I have cards from 2007 that still look great. So I'm just going to say yes, they are light fast and archival. But I've even contacted Sakura and didn't get a straight answer on that. So I can't really tell you the right answer. All I know is that I love them. They've withstood this test of time since 2007. And that's all that matters to me. I wouldn't display them directly in the sun, but I don't really do that with any of my work. So, that's all I can say is, be careful where you display it. Most of my work is on a wall, is on a wall that does have some sunlight on it, but it's not really direct. So I feel like it's fine. And I love the way it looks by mixing the colors. A little bit of green, a little bit of blue. Sometimes I may just use, 4 or 5 shades of blue. But it's whatever I feel in the moment. Now for the water, I'm going to use this on part of the wave. And then I like to use watercolor in the inside, usually. But I also like to leave white, because there's definitely white when you look at the waves. Either the bubbles or the sunlight, there's definitely white there. It could be the foam from the crashing of the waves. But I start out with the glaze pen in this particular piece. Then I will add some watercolor. And as you see, this is a very simple and basic design. It's a small piece of work. It's 3.5 by 2.5 inches. But this is definitely one of my more simpler ones. I have done some very extravagant work in these small little art card size. And you just have to have a very steady hand, not to necessarily have straight lines, but to be able to, get the detail in that you want. It's not so much that I have to have a straight line, but I got to be able to color within the line or paint within the line. I have to be able to add detail where I want to. And sometimes it's a little hard working on these little pieces, especially as you get older, but I'm still doing it, so as long as I can do it, I will. Okay, now for the mountain area. I think I'm going to use the green glitter pen. Now you can do any kind of scene you like. You don't have to do waves. You can just do flowers if you like. I have plenty that are just flowers. I do birds. I do gardens. I do water, ocean, waves. I do just flowers. I do still life. You could do faces. I used to do faces a long time ago. I'm not really that thrilled with doing faces, but you can do a face that takes up the whole area, or you can just do a couple of faces. You can do abstract. That's another great thing that this size is good for. Little mini abstracts. You can use watercolor or acrylic. And now I can't find my other pen that I want. My other color green. Hold on while I look for my other green. Here it is. It's a darker green. I hope it's the darker green. Nope, I need the lighter green because I already have the dark green. I have so many pens, it's actually not helpful to have this many. Here's the lighter green. Because I like to have the two different tones. I only have 2 green glitter pens, so I can only have the 2 tones of the green. And this one I'm afraid may wear out. I hope not. If so, they say to, and it works. It works most of the time. If you have trouble with the gel pens, you just scratch them over a piece of sandpaper. And it seems to work. Then you got to clean off the tip though, because it gets sandpaper on it. And I'm just coloring in this quickly. Pretty much, I'm not trying to be perfect here, but I really just want to show you how I go about doing it. And this is really the way that I create these. Sometimes I take a little more time. This doesn't have a lot of detail, so I can pretty much just continue on like I'm doing. I hope I'm not blocking the light. And basically this is just coloring. I mean, this is by no way what I would call painting. It's coloring. When I use the watercolor only, it's more painting because you use different effects. You blot up some of the extra water to get some mottled effects. You use different colors. You blend, stipple, do a whole bunch of different things, which I will do on the videos. But for today, I'm just doing a simple one. Now, let me get some watercolor for the trees. I fill in a little bit of big area first, and if you see how small my paint tip is, this isn't even the smallest. I have one that's much smaller than this, but this is fine for this. And I always keep a paper towel or a little cloth next to me so I can blot up some excess, because I like to have different tones. Let me take this and just go here like that and blot up a little. I use my hairspray bottle to wet my watercolor. I've been using that forever. I like the way that the squirt comes out rather than if you buy a water squirt bottle, it comes out too much. Using that comes out just as much as I like. So now I'll go a little darker here, a little bit darker here, a little darker here. Cover up the white. Here I cover up the white. In the water I don't, but in the trees I do. Because they're kind of in a distance and you're not going to see too much light on them, so. Sometimes I blot where it's darker away and then add it in again. It just has to be the way I like it to look. I don't really have a rhyme or reason why I do it a certain way. I just keep blotting until I like how it looks. Sometimes I want the dark to be at the top, sometimes connected to the other set of trees, sometimes over here. Add a little extra water. If I put too much color down, I could just add water and then take it away. See? You don't have to fear with watercolor. You can, they say it's not as forgiving as acrylic, or other mediums, but I find that it's okay. You can always wet it and take some away if you put too much. Obviously, if you do a whole page of watercolor, it's harder to fix it, but I'm doing little bits and pieces here. Okay, I am going to use my yellow for the sun. Sometimes I use orange, sometimes I blend orange and yellow and pink watercolor. I like how vibrant it is, so. Okay, now I am going to use a little bit of my blue watercolor. Dark blue, and I'll kind of go in like this. Okay, now I'm going to use my bright pink to make a little bit of a sunset. Because the way I always see sunset is yellow and a lot of red, or pink. I like to make it pink. And I just do down close to the edge, and then I kind of, now if you notice, I have a piece of paper under where I'm working because I clean my brushes here, and then this paper then becomes pages for journals or tags or anything else that I choose to make, cards, whatever. But I always have a piece of watercolor paper underneath where I'm working. Now I just want a little water to take this and blend it up a bit. I don't want to have more paint on my brush. I really just want to tilt this in a way so it'll drip a little bit. I may add some more in. Yeah, I could add a little more in. And just keep my paper tilted as I add it so it drips to the top. And then I bet you can guess what I'm going to do next. I am going to take my cloth and dab it to get rid of some of the color. And then I may add a little orange up at the top after this dries. But for now, I'm just leaving it like this. You don't want too much color. I know it seems like a waste of color to put on and take off, but that's something that is part of working with watercolor. It's a process of subtraction as well as addition. So think of that when you're creating. Even if you're just doing a practice piece, or, you know, anytime you're trying to experiment, think of subtracting as much as adding. Now, my favorite tool for these, I can't find the one I just started using. is my glaze pen in black. Because after this is dry, which I think it might be dry now at the bottom anyway, I go over all my black lines with this embossing. I'm going to use a new one because with this embossing black, and it just makes everything stand out. Sometimes I go over it a couple times to make it thicker, and it just makes everything stand out. Plus it's embossed, so it looks good because of that, and also because it stays very black, and I love it. And I don't do it on every line, just on some. Sometimes I make it thicker, sometimes just keep it thin. It depends on the piece and what I'm doing, what I'm going for. With the waves, I'm going to do it on each piece. I'm going to do the horizon line here. I'm going to do my little tree stubs and the bottom of the trees. I'm not going to do all the lines in here. I do have to add my little purple right here. Okay. And I'm going to do my sun. You want to wait till this is dry, though. It's dry. But if you don't, it'll make the black bleed into the color. Yeah, it looks like I'm doing more than I thought. I'm going to do the top of the trees too. I don't always, but sometimes it just, maybe because this one's more simple, I want to do it, add the black on more areas. And also where I want things to stand out. I think I want the trees to stand out. I want the sun to stand out. I'm not going to do these black lines up here, and I'm not going to do in the water. Make sure all your lines connect too. You don't want to have a space between one line and another. You want to make sure they all connect. And that's pretty much it. A very simple, I don't know if you could see it glistening in the light. The embossed and the glitter. It looks fabulous. And I may go back in later and add some more color here. Let me see now if I want to. I got to be careful though, because the black is still a little wet. So I don't want to touch any of that. I like the contrast of the dark pink. Oh, see, I just messed up. How do you like that? How do you like that? Well, I wanted to have a blooper video, so I guess this is it. Always wait till your ink is dry. I'm still fine with it though. See, I went too close to the sun. I should have stayed away a little bit. That's all right though. I can fix it up later by adding some more color, going over my lines, and just kind of hiding it. Also, it can look like a little shadow in here. If I do have that stay right there, I'm going to have to do it over here too to make it look like it was meant to be. Which, hey, sometimes we got to do that. You know, especially if you're doing a commission too and you make a mistake. Like I could get away with that because it looks like a little bit of shadow in there. and I'll be able to cover it up later. After everything dries, I'll be going over the black again, and I will add a little more pink. I'll go over these with my permanent marker, and I still think it looks great. And that's it. That's how I make a simple little art card. Try it. Try some simple shapes first. If you don't want to do a scene or flowers, try some geometric shapes overlapping. Maybe a couple of circles, and then a square, and then a squiggly. I'll do one. I'll do a video of just doing a simple abstract next. But I hope you like this. Thanks. Bye-bye.